I'm sitting here in my apartment in Portland, staring at the wedding photos on Facebook, and I still can't believe what I'm seeing. My wife, my actual wife, with her sister's husband. Except, that's not the whole truth. The whole truth is so much worse. The whole truth is that the woman I married isn't who she said she was at all. Let me start from the beginning, because I need to say this out loud. I need someone to know how this happened. How a 65-year-old retired engineer from Oregon who just wanted companionship in his final years ended up in the most manipulative, calculated trap I could never have imagined. It was 2 years ago when I met her on one of those international dating apps. I know what you're thinking. Old fool, right? But I'd been widowed for 7 years, and the loneliness was crushing me. My kids were grown and lived across the country. My wife of 32 years had died of cancer, and I spent every evening in our house surrounded by memories and silence. I wasn't looking to replace her. I just wanted someone to talk to. Someone who might make the last chapter of my life less empty. When Gabriela messaged me first, I was surprised. She was 27 years old. Beautiful. Why would she be interested in a man my age? But she seemed so genuine, so sweet. Her first message said, "You have kind eyes. I can tell you're a good man with a good heart. Age doesn't matter when souls connect." I remember reading that over and over. My late wife used to say I had kind eyes. I felt something stir in me that I hadn't felt in years. Hope, maybe. We started chatting every day, then video calls. She worked at a call center in Manila, supported her family, went to church every Sunday. She told me about her dreams of having a simple, peaceful life with someone who would cherish her. "I don't want a young guy who only thinks about partying," she said during one of our late-night calls. "I want someone mature. Someone who knows how to treat a woman with respect. Someone like you, Timothy." I felt seen, valued. Here was this gorgeous young woman saying she wanted me, not despite my age, but because of it, because I was stable, because I was kind, because I'd lived long enough to know what mattered. I didn't question it. I was just grateful. Within 2 weeks, she said she loved me. "I know it sounds crazy," she said, her eyes getting teary on the video call. "But I feel like I've known you my whole life, like God brought us together. You're the man I've been praying for." I said it back. Of course I said it back. At 65, you don't expect to hear those words again. You don't expect anyone to look at you the way she looked at me through that screen, like I was everything she wanted. My heart, which I thought had closed after my wife died, cracked open again. We talked about the future constantly. She wanted to take care of me in my retirement. She'd cook for me, keep me company, make sure I wasn't alone. We'd travel together while I was still healthy enough. The Philippines, Thailand, maybe Europe. She'd push my wheelchair someday if I needed it, she said, laughing but serious. "I want to grow old with you," she said. "I know you're already older, but that just means we have to make every moment count. I'll take care of you, Timothy. I promise." I sent her money for the first time in week 3. Her phone had broken, she said. She was devastated, crying because it meant we couldn't video call anymore. $200 for a new phone. That's nothing for a man like me who'd worked 40 years and had a pension. I wanted her happy. I wanted to be the one who solved her problems. When the new phone arrived, she sent me a video of her unboxing it, crying happy tears saying, "Thank you, my love," over and over. She called me her hero. At 65, I didn't think anyone would call me that again. Everything moved faster after that. She wanted to meet in person, but she couldn't afford the ticket to the US. I understood. I offered to come to the Philippines instead. She got so excited, planned everything. Where we'd go, what we'd do. She said she wanted me to meet her family, especially my sister Isabel, she said. "She's my best friend. You're going to love her." I flew to Manila 3 months after we first started talking. 3 months. I should have known better. I'd been married for over 3 decades. I knew love didn't happen that fast, but I wasn't thinking clearly. I was thinking that I didn't have another 30 years left, that if I wanted companionship for whatever time I had remaining, I needed to act now. When I saw Gabriela at the airport, she ran to me and wrapped her arms around me. She kissed me in front of everyone. She held my hand the entire taxi ride to the hotel, kept saying, You're really here. You're really mine, my handsome American. The first week was perfect. She was attentive, affectionate, constantly telling me how lucky she felt. She helped me with everything. The heat bothered my joints, and she made sure I stayed hydrated. When my back hurt from the plane ride, she massaged it. She made me feel young again. Vital. Needed. She talked about marriage like it was already decided. When we get married, she'd say. Not if. When. I want a small wedding, she told me one night. Just family. Just the people who matter. And then I'll take care of you for the rest of your life. However long that is, Timothy. I'll be there. I met her family on day 8. Her mother, her father, her younger siblings, and her sister Isabel. Isabel was quieter than Gabriela, more reserved. She was around the same age as Gabriela, maybe a year or two younger. She smiled politely but didn't say much. I didn't think anything of it. Gabriela's mother kept hugging me, saying, "Welcome to our family," in broken English. Her father shook my hand firmly, thanked me for taking care of his daughter. They acted like I was already the son-in-law. "See," Gabriela whispered to me, "they love you. They're so grateful you'll give me a good life." But then something shifted on day 9. We were at dinner, just the two of us, and Gabriela suddenly put her fork down and tears started rolling down her face. "What's wrong?" I asked, immediately panicked. "Are you okay? Did I do something?" No, she said, shaking her head. "It's not you. It's just, I'm so happy with you, Timothy, but I'm scared." "Scared of what?" "That you'll go back to America and forget about me. That this isn't real for you like it is for me. That maybe you're just experimenting, seeing if you can still attract a young woman." My heart broke. I reached across the table and grabbed her hands. They were so small in mine. "Gabriela, I would never do that to you. This is real. You're real to me. I love you." "Then marry me," she said, looking right into my eyes. "Before you leave, marry me so I know you're serious, so I know I'm not just some fantasy for you." I hesitated, not because I didn't care about her, but because I have kids. 2 grown children who would have opinions about this. Who would worry that I was being taken advantage of? She saw the hesitation, her face crumpled. "I knew it," she said, pulling her hands away. "I knew I wasn't enough. I knew you were embarrassed of me. Of the age difference." "That's not true," I said quickly. "I'm not embarrassed. This is a big decision." "Marriage is, after everything I've given you?" she interrupted. Her voice changed, got harder. "I've been intimate with you. I introduced you to my family. My mother thinks you're going to take care of me, and you can't even commit to me?" I felt like the worst kind of man, the kind who uses women and tosses them aside. I didn't want to be that. I'd never been that. "No, Gabriela, please. I didn't mean, if you love me, prove it," she said. "Marry me. We can do the paperwork this week. Then I'll know you mean it. Then I can believe you when you say you love me." So I did it. I married her, at City Hall in Manila, with her family as witnesses. I told myself I was being brave, that I was seizing happiness while I still could, that at my age, you don't get many chances left. She was radiant at the ceremony. She cried when we said our vows. She told me I'd made her the happiest woman in the world. Her sister Isabel was there, quiet as always, watching with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Now we can start the visa process," Gabriela said that night, lying next to me. "So I can come be with you in America. So I can take care of you properly. Cook for you every day. Make sure you take your medications. Be a real wife to you." I flew back to Portland and immediately started the spousal visa paperwork. It was expensive and complicated, but I had the money. I had my pension, my savings, my social security. I wanted my wife with me. I didn't want to spend whatever years I had left alone, but the visa process was slow. Months crawled by. Gabriela called me every day at first, but gradually it became every few days. Then once a week. When we did talk, she seemed distracted. Short with me. When I asked what was wrong, she'd cry and say she was just missing me so much that talking to me made it worse. I need to be there with you, she'd say. This distance is killing me. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I tried to reassure her. I sent money when she said her family was struggling. Her mother needed medicine for her diabetes. Her father needed money for his heart condition. Her brother needed school tuition. I was happy to help. They were my family now too. And honestly, I had the money. What else was I going to spend it on at my age? But then she started saying things that hurt. My friend's husband sends her $1,000 a month, she said once. He makes sure she never has to ask for anything. He's 68, and he treats her like a queen. I started sending more. 500 a month, then 800. I wanted to be better than other husbands. I wanted to prove I could take care of her, even from thousands of miles away, even at 65. 6 months after I got back to Portland, something felt off. Gabriela was posting less on Facebook. When she did post, it was photos of her out with friends at restaurants I knew she couldn't afford on her call center salary. When I asked about it, she'd get defensive. You don't trust me? She said. After I married you? After I gave you my youth? I do trust you, I said quickly. I was just curious. I'm sorry. You're always questioning me, Timothy. It makes me feel like you think I'm a gold digger, like you think I married you for money. I don't think that, I said, even though a small part of me was starting to wonder. Good, she said, her voice softening, because I love you. I'm your wife. Don't forget that. But she started asking for more money. Her mother's medicine got more expensive. The roof of their house needed repairs. Her sister Isabel needed help with something. Every week, there was a new emergency. Every week, I sent money. What choice did I have? They were family. 7 months in, I noticed something strange on her Facebook. There were photos of her with a man, young, muscular, Filipino. They were at a beach together, at a restaurant, her arm around his waist. When I asked her about it, she laughed. That's my cousin, she said. You're being paranoid, Timothy. Old people get paranoid, I know, but you have to trust me. Old people. She'd never called me old before. It stung. But I apologized for bringing it up. The visa process dragged on. 12 months. 15 months. I asked her when she was going to have her interview at the embassy. She kept saying soon. Next month. They're backed up. Be patient. I tried to visit her again at the 18-month mark. I bought a ticket to Manila. When I told her, she got upset. Why would you waste money on a ticket? She said. We need that money for the house. For my family. You're being selfish, Timothy. I just want to see you, I said. I miss you. If you missed me, you'd focus on getting me to America instead of wasting money on trips. Cancel the ticket. Send me the money instead. I did. I canceled the ticket. I sent her the money. She said thank you, but her voice was cold. 20 months after I got back from Manila, I finally got suspicious enough to do something I'm ashamed of. I created a fake Facebook profile. A young, handsome American guy. Successful. Posted photos I stole from some model's Instagram. I sent Gabriela a friend request. She accepted within an hour. I messaged her. Hey, beautiful. You single? Her response came fast. Thank you, handsome. Actually, I'm kind of single. Complicated situation. My hands started shaking. I kept going. Complicated how? I'm married, but he's in America. Old guy. I'm waiting for my visa, but honestly, I don't know if I'm going through with it. He's nice, but, you know, he's old. Like really old. I'm only 27. I have my whole life ahead of me. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest, but I kept typing. So you're looking for someone new? Maybe, she wrote. If the right guy came along, someone younger, someone who gets me. I wanted to stop, but I couldn't. What about your husband? He's been good to me, sends money, but between you and me, that was kind of the point. He's lonely. I needed help for my family. Win-win, you know? But I don't want to grow old taking care of an old man. I want to actually live. I closed the laptop. I couldn't read anymore. I sat in my dark apartment, the same apartment I'd lived in with my late wife, and I cried. I hadn't cried since her funeral. But I cried. That night. Deep, gut-wrenching sobs. Because I knew. I finally knew. But even then, even with the evidence right in front of me, I didn't confront her immediately. I wanted to believe there was some explanation, some misunderstanding, because confronting her meant accepting that I'd been a fool, that, at 65 years old, I'd been played by a 27-year-old girl who saw me as nothing but a retirement plan, an ATM machine with feelings. I kept sending money for another month. I couldn't help it. She'd ask and I'd send. It was automatic at that point. I was afraid of what would happen if I stopped. Afraid she'd disappear completely. Afraid I'd be alone again. But then I saw the photos. Gabriela posted wedding photos. Not our wedding photos, new ones. She was in a white dress, beautiful, smiling, and next to her was a man, young, Filipino, the same man from the earlier photo she'd called her cousin. The caption said, "Finally married to the love of my life. God is good." I stared at those photos for hours. I zoomed in on her face. She looked happy, genuinely happy, happier than she'd ever looked in our wedding photos. I went through the comments, her friends congratulating her, her family celebrating, and then I saw it, a comment from her mother. "So happy for you and your husband. Isabel must be so happy her sister finally found love too." Her sister. I went to Isabel's Facebook profile. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely type. And there they were, photos from 2 years ago, Isabel in a white dress. Next to her was me, in my suit, at Manila City Hall. I scrolled through Isabel's profile. There were no photos of her with any man, just family photos, church photos, photos with her sisters. Sisters, plural. I went back to Gabriela's profile, looked at the family photos more carefully. There were 3 sisters. Gabriela was in the middle. Isabel was the youngest. And the oldest. The oldest looked exactly like the woman I'd married. The woman I'd married wasn't Gabriela, it was her older sister. I don't know how long I sat there staring at my computer screen. Hours maybe, trying to piece together what had happened. The woman who'd met me at the airport. The woman I'd slept with. The woman I'd married at City Hall. That was Gabriela's older sister, playing the role of Gabriela, using Gabriela's photos, Gabriela's identity. The real Gabriela had been running the online relationship, sending the messages, making the video calls, building the fantasy. But when I came to the Philippines, her older sister had pretended to be her, had married me, had collected the money for 2 years while the real Gabriela lived her actual life. I finally understood why Gabriela had always seemed different on the phone versus in person. Why she'd been so eager to get married quickly. Why she'd never wanted me to visit again. Why the visa process had stalled. Because the woman who'd married me wasn't the woman who was supposed to get the visa. The real Gabriela had probably been planning her real wedding the entire time I was sending money to help her family. I felt sick, physically sick. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. Then I sat on the bathroom floor of my apartment and I tried to understand how I'd been so stupid, how I'd let myself be so completely fooled. But I know how. I was lonely. I was 65 years old and facing the last years of my life alone, and these women knew that. They saw a target. An old widower with money and no one to spend it on. They crafted the perfect trap. The beautiful young woman who wanted a mature man, who would take care of him in his old age, who just needed a little help, a little money, a little faith. I looked at my bank statements that night. Over 22 months. I'd sent them $43,000. $43,000. For what? For lies. For photos that weren't real. For promises that were never going to be kept. For a woman who didn't exist and a marriage that was a fraud. I tried to report it. Went to the police. They said it was complicated. International fraud. Hard to prove. Civil matter. Not criminal. The marriage was legal on paper, even if it was based on deception. The money I'd sent was gifts to family. Hard to prosecute. I hired a lawyer. Spent another $5,000 trying to get the marriage annulled. Trying to get my money back. Trying to do something. Anything. The lawyer said I could try, but the chances of success were almost zero. The women were in the Philippines. I'd never see that money again. So I stopped. I just stopped. I deleted my Facebook account. I blocked their numbers. I threw away everything that reminded me of her, of them. I tried to pretend it never happened, but I can't stop thinking about it. I lie awake at night running through every conversation, every video call, every moment, trying to figure out where I could have known, where I could have seen through it. But they were good, really good. They knew exactly what to say, exactly how to make an old, lonely man feel wanted, feel loved, feel like he mattered. The psychological damage is worse than the financial loss. I question everything now, every interaction I have. I look at young women in the grocery store and wonder if they're laughing at me. I see couples and wonder which ones are real. I can't trust my own judgment anymore. If I could be fooled that completely, that thoroughly, then what do I actually know about anything? My kids found out eventually. I tried to hide it from them, but my daughter noticed the money missing when she was helping me with my taxes. She was gentle about it, but I could see the pity in her eyes. "Oh, Dad, how could you be so stupid?" that she didn't say out loud. My son was angry, wanted to fly to the Philippines and confront them. I told him not to. What would be the point? They'd just deny everything, or laugh. I'm in therapy now. My doctor recommended it after I told him I was having trouble sleeping, having panic attacks. The therapist says I was the victim of a sophisticated romance scam combined with identity fraud. She's taught me the warning signs, the patterns. She's shown me that this happens to thousands of people every year, that I'm not uniquely stupid, that these scammers are professionals who know exactly how to manipulate human psychology. But knowing that doesn't make me feel better. It doesn't give me back my money. It doesn't give me back my dignity. It doesn't erase the fact that I fell in love with a fantasy while 2 women in the Philippines laughed at the old American fool, sending them his retirement savings. The red flags were everywhere. I just didn't want to see them. She said, "I love you," within 2 weeks of our first conversation. Real love doesn't happen that fast, especially not through a screen. She was 27 and I was 65. Yes, age gap relationships exist, but I should have asked myself why a beautiful young woman would genuinely want an old man. She talked about marriage immediately, pushed for it fast, didn't want me to think about it or talk to my family about it. She needed money constantly. Every week there was a new emergency, new crisis, always just enough to keep me sending, never enough to make me cut her off. She isolated me from getting second opinions, told me my kids wouldn't understand, my friends wouldn't get it. Only we knew what we had. She was different in person than online. I noticed it but explained it away as nerves. It wasn't nerves. It was a completely different person. She never wanted me to visit again after the first time, always had excuses, always redirected me to send money instead. The visa process never progressed. 2 years and no interview. That's not normal. She couldn't keep her story straight sometimes. Small details would change. I thought I was misremembering. I wasn't. Different people were telling me different versions. Her sister Isabel never spoke to me, never interacted with me, because Isabel was the real Gabriela, and she couldn't risk me recognizing her voice or mannerisms from the video calls. I sit here now, at 65 years old, and I don't know if I'll ever trust anyone again. I don't know if I'll ever let myself be vulnerable again. I spent $43,000 and 2 years of my life on a lie, on 2 women who saw me as nothing but a source of income, who probably have other men like me right now. Other lonely old fools sending them money while they live their real lives. If you're reading this, and you're my age, if you're lonely, if you're looking for companionship online, please learn from my mistake. Please ask yourself why. Why would someone so much younger want you? What are they really getting out of this? And please, please, talk to your family before you marry someone you've known for 3 months. Before you send thousands of dollars to people you've never met in person. Before you let yourself believe in a fantasy that's too perfect to be real. Because it isn't real. None of it was real. I'm still here in Portland. Still alone. Still sleeping in the bed I shared with my late wife. Still eating dinner by myself. Still wondering if I'll spend the rest of my life like this. But at least now I know the loneliness is real. The silence is real. The empty apartment is real. That's more than I can say about my marriage to a woman who never existed.